changed over the last decade about our debt structure. On the external side, historically, we have relied on concessional debt, which is primarily bank loans, term loans from international financial organizations and what we call ODA, Official Development Assistance. Now, these loans, like your bank loan, you repay interest and principal over a specified period. In 2014, we went to the market and floated a bond, the Euro bonds. We had never done that before because we couldn't. Poor countries are not able to do that. But some circumstances changed and we have become a middle-income country, and the markets are more willing to lend low-income countries like us because of they had a lot of liquidity from the monetary policies of the West. So we went into the market and started borrowing money there. Now, when you go to the market, you can get reasonably priced money, but it comes with what Ken has called refinancing risk. That when you go back to the market, you need to be able to roll over those debts. You never really set out to repay them. What you want to do is be rolling them over in the market. Then the other component, of course, what has changed is we adopted, the Jubilee administration adopted a growth strategy called infrastructure-led growth. So a lot of this money, what they said is for financing hard infrastructure. And of course, the biggest one of those is the SGR Railway, which we borrowed term loans, bank loans from China. Now, the situation we find ourselves in is one where, in fact, if you look at the composition of that debt, half of it is foreign, half of it is domestic, and they have increased pari passu in proportion. Now, if you look at the interest cost of that debt, 80% is domestic, only 20% is foreign. So domestic debt is a lot more expensive than foreign debt. Yeah? If you look at the budget for this year, the budget for interest is about 660 billion shillings, 530 is domestic, and only about 130 is foreign. So if you're to look at the debt burden, the biggest burden in terms of servicing is interest. Obviously, all domestic debt is market debt. There's no bank loan debt, so you don't do principal. You roll over your bonds and bills in the market, so you are more concerned about paying interest. So if you look at what that did is by borrowing domestically, the government took money, the loanable funds that are available in the banking system, that would constitute the working capital of business, and used it to finance infrastructure, long-term infrastructure. So you're taking short-term money and putting it into long-term capital projects. Short-term domestic money from the banks and putting it into long-term assets. So on the one hand, it means that the returns, if they come at all, will come in the long term. And on the other hand, you have denied that money to working capital of the private sector, and you see that hit SMEs very, very hard. So that is what I'm calling lifestyle. That is a lifestyle problem we have. We took short-term money and put it in long-term assets. We also went to the market, and when you go to the market, you expose yourself to refinancing risk. That at the time when you need to refinance your debt, the market conditions may have changed. And that's part of what we are facing. Now, But when we look at the first Eurobond we issued in 2014, we actually don't have to refinance it until 2024. So we have a year and a half. So although the market conditions have changed, we still have a year or more before the refinancing issue crystallizes. In between, you probably have other commercial, foreign commercial debt we call syndicated loans. They have the same character as the bonds. But the government has not been very good at disclosing these that are maturing. But again, what you need to do there is negotiate with the banks to be able to roll them over. But we are certainly nowhere near being unable to service, to pay the interest. As I said, if you look at the interest of foreign debt on all those loans, including those of the bilaterals and others, is about 20% of the total. So if we were to worry about cash flow and financing, what we would be then worrying about is domestic market debt, which is in shillings. And there is enough liquidity in the market that the government can keep refinancing that for a while. What we, however, have to do is change our lifestyle. What is not sustainable is our lifestyle. If we keep crowding out the private sector to finance long-term infrastructure, we are certainly going to end up in that latch sometime down the road. But we still have time to change our lifestyle.